At Calgary Wild FC, we honor and acknowledge that this land belongs to the Treaty 7 territory. Ever wonder what it takes to build a brand new professional women's football team and play for one? Well, join us as Dill, Stordy, Deanna, and I walk through the journey with you. Welcome to The Wild Journey, the official podcast of Calgary Wild FC. I'm your host, Farkhunda Muhtaj, midfielder and proud community ambassador for the Wild. This podcast is all about building a deeper connection between our club and you, giving our incredible fans a front row seat, uncovering stories of passion and purpose beyond the pitch. Thrilled to welcome two incredible homegrown talents from Calgary who now proudly represent Calgary Wild FC. First, we have Sarah Kelty-Dilling, our incredible goalkeeper. Sarah is a graduate of both the University of Texas and the University of Calgary, holding degrees in kinesiology and education. Joining her is Grace Stordy, a fierce defender for the Wild. Grace is a University of Memphis alumna with a degree in health science with a minor in medical assisting and business, and previously played professionally for Braga in Portugal. I couldn't be more excited to kick off our very first episode of The Wild Journey with these two teammates of mine. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course. I want to start off with you, Sarah. I came into preseason in February like everyone else, and I remember this conversation that we had at CSI. We were just getting to know each other, and I was amazed by your resilience, the way you were able to face adversity in your life. And I want to know, what was your childhood like that enabled you to have these strong values today?
It's a great question. I would say as a child, I was very stubborn. And I think that's a big part of it is I'm too stubborn to let something beat me. And so that's just a big part of me, like overcoming challenges and pushing through adversity. Growing up, I had two very loving and supportive parents who were always there for me. But at the same time, my dad especially, he didn't let me accept just not doing something or not being able to do something. He was always like, well, no, let's find a solution. Let's figure out how to overcome this. And I'm not going to do it for you. I'll do it. If I need to help you, I will, but you're going to do it yourself. And I think that was probably a big part of it as well.
That's amazing. And that's why you're here today, beyond the challenges and successes, still working hard at your dream, which is professional football, hey?
Still grinding.
That's amazing. Stordy, we met last November. I thought you were hilarious from the time I met you. Definitely have a lot of energy, a lot louder, I have to say now, than you were in November when I first met you, but I'm still loving the energy. You've spoken a lot about enjoying this city and what it means to you, but also about Memphis and how that's influenced where you are today. Can you walk me through your upbringing and what led you to go across the world, whether that's Memphis or Portugal, to bring you back to doing what you love?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Dill, I think I have the most supportive family ever, and I couldn't be more spoiled with the support they've given me all throughout youth up until school. And I think it's every little girl's dream to go play at the highest level. And I knew I wanted to go to the NCAA. Div 1 was the goal, and I obviously achieved that. Memphis was a grind. 4 years there isn't easy. I think it taught me to be mentally tough and just resilient. I think I got a lot of my grit from that place. I think Memphis as a city is just full of really gritty people, and they get the job done. So I think having the upbringing I did really helped me excel there, and I did have a lot of success at Memphis. And then again, going overseas, you didn't have a choice up until now. So got shipped off to Portugal right after I graduated. It was a fun experience. I'm very grateful I got to do that, but I think it takes leaving Calgary to appreciate this city even more, and I definitely hold a lot of appreciation and respect for this city. I mean, there's everything here you could ever want, so I'm just happy to be home.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I'm obviously not originally from Calgary. I am from Toronto, but I feel like the city is so special, the community behind it, the individuals that are just willing to really support each other. And I know you mentioned that every young girl's dream is to become a footballer. When did that begin for you? Was there a moment where you thought to yourself, this is something I want to do despite not having a domestic league here at home?
I mean, I feel like I've done everything under the sun growing up. It was sort of deciding between snow skiing and soccer and horses and water skiing. So there's a lot of things, but I think, I think once I hit high school and it was kind of the time when you're supposed to start talking to college coaches, it kind of clued in for me that maybe I am good enough to go and do this, not only as a career, but like as a lifestyle, if that makes sense. So I would definitely say high school is when I really kind of honed in on the idea that this is something I could do professionally.
I love that. And you're doing so well at it. Obviously a star for the Wild. And we're so happy to have you, of course, both on and off the pitch. The energy, both on and off the pitch, is electric. So
I love being your teammate, Stordy.
Aw, Dill.
I was happy when you signed because I knew that we could be teammates again.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I partnered the two of you together. I felt like there was some sort of connection going on here.
We're just the funniest, most outgoing people ever.
Just the coolest people.
It's just so hard if you're not us.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to prove it now on the podcast. But Sarah, similar for you. I mean, you went to the States to continue your football career in many ways, varsity student athlete there in Texas. And then you returned home to pursue your education even further. How did the classroom lead you back to professional football?
I actually wouldn't say that the classroom necessarily led me back. Of course, having the opportunity to play NCAA gave me the chance to continue playing through school. We actually used to play. We were in the same conference as Memphis when I was playing before Stordy got down there. But anyway,
a little bit before.
I'm a little older than Stordy over there. But for me, like the desire to play football and to continue to play football never left. And I'm older than both of you. So at the time that I was first looking at going overseas to play or looking into playing professionally, the options were so limited, especially if you wanted to be able to support yourself and, you know, kind of just be in a comfortable situation and in a safe situation. It was way more difficult to come by those opportunities. And so for me, I guess you could say the classroom gave me the opportunity to continue to be involved in football. When I went back to U of C to do my teaching degree, I was coaching with the Dinos team, the University of Calgary Dinos team there. And so being able to couple those two, it just gave me an opportunity to continue to be involved, even though what I really wanted to do was play. I couldn't play professionally at that time because I made the decision to stay home. Leaving home is hard, as you all know, right? And so, it was just about like never losing that passion for football and just kind of doing little things to stay in the world of football. Wasn't playing professionally, obviously, but I always had that goal and had that dream, and finally it's a reality.
Here we are.
Here you are today. So it's crazy to almost imagine that if the NSL didn't exist, perhaps you wouldn't be playing professional football today. Is that correct?
Potentially. But honestly, probably not. In my personal life, I'm in a situation where I'm so supported that my wife, Jill, is so supportive of me. And then we had talked about it before, about me just going overseas because, you know, like you talk about it enough, let's just go do it. So then you can say you did it instead of always wondering what if, right? And so if the NSL hadn't have come to fruition, I think I still would have ended up. Thank you.
Good word.
I'm a teacher, so I'm pretty smart. I think I still would have ended up pursuing overseas after I had obviously recovered from my most recent injury and stuff. And then.
Yeah. And just to compare, like the difference between male and female athletes, men just have so many more opportunities than we do. But at the same time, although we have limited opportunities in sport, we're so educated. Like you have 2 degrees, you have degrees as well, and it's university degrees. So had football not worked out, obviously you're extremely talented and educated in other spaces, which I feel really helps in the team dynamic as well, because the culture of the team is quite strong and it comes from a place of understanding. It comes from a place of grittiness, right? Just working hard to achieve your dreams at a time that maybe it wasn't possible to pursue. And so making sure that education was at the forefront as well. But we know that at this club, beyond just football, we stand for so much more. And aside from community impact, you all have incredible personalities that you bring to the pitch. Stordy, you're definitely a fan favorite when it comes to personality. I know you love animals, you love the outdoors. What makes you so special, and what makes you feel connected to the city beyond the people?
Wow, that's special.
That's a crazy question.
I just think everyone in Calgary has such great motivation. Like, I think this city wants to become not like huge, but there's so many things you can do in the city, and so many people want to help to add to those things and create more things and more opportunities. And I think just being in a place where you feel so welcomed, like outsiders, like you always say that everyone in Calgary is so nice. And I think that that is so true. I always tell friends that Calgary is such a big, small city. Like,
Right.
you know everyone across the board. And whether that's through sports or just friends or work or anything, I think the connections here is what makes everyone here so special, just not myself. And I really take pride in like creating those connections that maybe I wouldn't have had when I'm younger. So like post game is so fun for me because you get to see all those little girls and boys who are there for you, like win or lose.
Right.
They're probably had the best 2.5 hours of their life because they got to watch someone that they can then look up to. So I think it's just so important to keep those connections alive.
Does that make you emotional sometimes, seeing all those little kids, those little girls especially in the stands?
Oh my God, it's so crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, and they come up to you and they're, oh, Stordy. And it's just, it melts my heart.
And how
honestly.
sick is it to think that like those kids and those girls especially get to look at us and be like, that's what I want to do. And it's actually like a tangible reality for them.
Yeah,
Right.
for
Where
sure.
they can, not just seeing it someone on TV in Europe playing for
Yeah,
England or
for
whatever.
sure.
It's like, oh no, I can do that in my hometown.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
so
crazy.
cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And I love how intentional our team is around that as well. After every home game, fans are out, the young girls are out there with their jerseys ready to get signed, photos as well. But I see it. We're not just signing shirts and passing by. We're having conversations with each and every one of them, getting to know them and thanking them for being there. And so that's something that I genuinely appreciate. Just seeing every single person on this team and what it means to them is huge. And also, I have to say, I haven't met your father yet. I definitely met your mom. The energy in the family is definitely passed down. I saw your
Yeah.
mom. Your mom is so identical to you in many ways.
Yeah.
During the Mother's Day game, she was jamming, having the time of her life. And I was like, this is where Stordy gets all that energy from. I'm sure your dad is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
And then, Sarah, I know for you, the community is really important. Your teaching career was important, and the impact you have had is immeasurable, specifically in the community that you were teaching, which had a lot of underserved students. And now, despite being away from them, you still feel very connected to them through your Keeper's Corner initiative that you started. Can you share more about that and what your intention behind that was, and how this is going to inspire the young kids in your school?
Yeah. So I taught for 6 years, and I spent 3 of those 6 years, maybe 3.5 of those 6 years, primarily in the Forest Lawn area. Super special place, super special area of the city. Gets a bad rep, obviously, we know that. But yeah, it's a very underappreciated, undervalued part of the city. I was speaking with Chris Dornan, what's his title? Media guy?
Yeah.
What does he
Media.
do? Media
Media
We love Chris.
Media
Shout
helper.
out Chris.
Shout out Chris. And we were just kind of talking about my story and kind of where I've been and what I've done, and kind of figuring out how we could have that community impact. And going back to Forest Lawn to help and just be a bright light for those students in any capacity was really important for me. And it was kind of a no-brainer as well. And it made a lot of sense. And the school that we went back to specifically to start this Keeper's Corner program was Ian Bazalgette School, which was the school I most recently taught at. And ideally with this program, like what it is right now is getting kids to games and just giving them opportunities that they wouldn't have. And Direct Energy has partnered with the program. And so we're really hoping that we can build it into something a whole lot bigger than just Baz, bigger than just bringing kids to games, but like maybe as far as paying for kids' soccer fees, transporting them to practices, whoever, like we don't even know where it could go yet.
Right.
But we want it to be so much bigger and so much more impactful than just one school and just one thing, which is bringing them to the games.
For sure. And those games have been home games. And have you had the opportunity to connect directly with some of those kids after the matches?
I have, yeah. It's actually super cool going to see those kids and just seeing how excited they are and how happy they are to be there. And even I got to bring a couple of kids down onto the field to meet some of the players at the Halifax game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like so cool to give them those opportunities, and they're so excited and so happy and so thankful.
Right.
And then it's fun to see some familiar faces sometimes.
The cutest little kiddos ever too.
Yeah,
they're so
they were,
sweet.
They're
they
the
were
best.
cute.
And it almost makes young kids believe that you can always pivot within your journey, right? And you're a testament to that there's no linear path to success or to where and what you want to achieve. And if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think quite oftentimes we get stuck in that, like, oh, this is what you want to be and this is what you want to do. So you do this to get there.
Right.
But we change, like as humans, we change, we evolve, right? And so what we like or what we don't like is going to change as we get older. Maybe you try going into accounting, you do it for 2 years and you're like, actually, this is really boring. I would find it boring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
horrible.
Some people like it. But like for kids to know that
Grateful for the people who do
grateful for the people that do
We
it.
need
Thank
to.
you, accountants. But for kids to know that, yeah, you don't have to stick to one thing and you don't have to be considered a failure if you don't stick to one thing. You don't have to box yourself in that way. And so, yeah, it's definitely an important message for kids.
Yeah, exactly. And how much of your journey do these kids actually know? Because not only were you a school teacher that pivoted, but you were an individual that went through a host of injuries and challenges, but yet still believed in yourself and your capabilities. And here you are fighting for yourself.
Yeah. Well, actually, the funny thing, every single one of my knee injuries and surgeries happened while I was teaching. And so whatever school I was at, most of the school or most of the kids were pretty aware of what was going on. And so even the Bazalgette kids, when I see them, they're always like, how's your knee? How's your knee? And I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good. Like, thank you for asking. That was a long time ago. We're good. But yeah, so they've seen me push through injuries and overcome that side of adversity as well, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so much more special, right? Like you mentioned, it's one thing to pivot, but then it's another to go through certain difficulties, but still feel that you can achieve it and have that tenacity, which is phenomenal. Speaking of schools, Stordy, your school reached out to me during the last few months, I guess, of their school, and they all were eager to watch you play. Now, you also have a sister that's very athletic as well. And so they shared with me how much it means. How much does it mean to you to see your school community still thinking of you and looking up to you despite, I don't know how many years it's been since you graduated high school and left the country to come back?
I mean, it's pretty special. I think the high school I went to, Our Lady of the Rockies, is such a special place. Like, I wouldn't have traded those 3 years for anything. And it's really cool. You know, teachers come and go, obviously, but the couple that are there that know me personally, I see them out in public and it's like haven't seen me for 20 years. It's so special. And just having that support system from not only my family, but friends. And I mean, I would call them my family too, but it's just so special. There's no other way to put it, really.
And for you coming back to play for the Wild, obviously you had part of your career was abroad. Did you feel like it was too soon? I know being from Calgary, at some point you would have thought to yourself, this is a team that I want to play for. But was it on top of your mind to play for this team at the beginning of the NSL?
Yes and no. I think we heard about this probably like 7 years ago, but it was such a long shot.
Yeah.
So,
But it was something that, like, we're going to do, it's going to happen. It didn't happen. It's going to happen.
Year
It didn't
after
happen.
year.
It didn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess my answer, is yes and no. I think when I was abroad, I was struggling a little bit. I don't think I had the easiest experience that most other people get. So in that moment in time, I was honestly just ready to get out of Portugal and say, sayonara, see you maybe in a couple of years, but not anytime soon. But also I think once I came to terms with like Calgary being a team, I thought it would have been so cool to play alongside, you know, people like Dill and Tal, like girls I've grown up with, Kaylee Books, and just be a part of the start of something. Like, not many people can say that they, you know, made history. We played in the first ever game.
Right.
This is the first ever year. And I think that's something I really wanted to get behind. So once I realized it was actually happening, it was a no-brainer.
And for you, similar to many of us, because the European season is very different than the NSL. The NSL is on a winter cycle. The European is on a very summer cycle, which means summer is off. So their season, preseason roughly begins end of July, mid-July, all the way until June is when season really is. It's a long season, pretty much replicates the school year here, but the NSL we know is very different, February to about November, December time. Now, you had quite some time to be at home, away from the professional football environment. What was that time like? Did it allow you to reflect on things or maybe appreciate things that you hadn't really thought of? Or what was that process like, even preparing like 6 months away from pro?
I think it was a well-needed break.
Yeah.
I had been doing, obviously, 4 years of college. I came home, put myself in the NWSL draft, didn't get drafted, and then 2 weeks later I was off to Portugal, so I didn't really have a break. And I'm very big on breaks. I like taking 2 weeks off. No one talked to me about soccer.
But you like summer breaks.
Yeah,
right?
rude for the NSL to not give us summer. But I think I just learned to love the sport again. You know, I did the TST 7v7 tournament out in North Carolina. I just had some fun with it. I got to spend a summer at my cabin for the first time in probably 5 years and just totally reset all my muscles, my mind, just everything.
Right.
And then once Christmas came around, it was kind of time to get back to work. I did a trial over the summer. I went to Scotland for Rangers and didn't love it as much as I probably should have.
Yeah.
And then that also too was just another reset, knowing that I had made the right decision to stay in Calgary, and then it was just a waiting game. But I think it was a good 4 months that I got to kind of rejuvenate myself and get ready for this. But yeah, I wouldn't have traded. I needed that break. So I'm happy that I got the opportunity to rest.
For sure. I mean, a lot of individuals that don't play professional football don't realize how demanding it is on the body, on the mind, just emotionally, mentally as well. And you see this more so with players that play, you know, in different competitions. So in Europe, when there's the UEFA Champions League, there's, you know, World Cup qualifiers, and if they're playing internationals as well, there's a huge load on travel, on games. And so I totally empathize and understand a break is so needed for athletes to just reset. So the next break that the NSL has, what are we looking forward to?
No soccer talk. Just, again, I think it'll be a good reset. I think our girls deserve it. I think we all work hard, and I'm sure we'll probably be seeing, I'm sure people have groups and we're all going to stay together because we're weird like that. But no, I think the break is going to be exciting. It's nice that you get a week of summer too, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be
just
nice.
have fun.
Just to not
have fun, let loose, be ready to go for the next week.
Think of football for some time.
Yeah, it occupies almost every conversation.
Yeah. Well, it's every day,
Yeah.
I mean, you go home thinking about football, you wake up thinking about it, and then you're at the club for 6-7 hours as well.
Yeah.
Just being immersed in it. And I know Stampede season is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm so curious because not being from Calgary, I've never experienced it. This is going to be my first Stampede, but I've heard so many great things about it. Please enlighten me as to what are some traditions that you have, and what do you usually do personally with your friend group and families?
Well, I mean, one thing that's really cool is you're going to see the city kind of transform.
Yeah.
The vibes are immaculate.
No work the whole 10 days. No work.
As Weeg says, vibes are immaculate. And everyone's wearing cowboy hats. And one thing I would recommend is go find a Stampede breakfast and go to Stampede breakfast.
Pancakes, though.
Delish. Yeah.
All over the city, all the time. So you definitely got to go check out one or two of those. Free food, why not, right?
Okay.
Yeah, well, Jill and I, we'll go to the rodeo. The last couple of years, we've gone to the rodeo, which is pretty fun. We got to go to the Chuck Wagons last year in like an Innsfield suite.
I recommend the Chucks.
That was wicked.
That's a good
What is the
party.
Chucks?
It's 4 horses pulling a wagon with 2 people on the wagon. Then you have a jockey, which is someone who's following you. So you're a team. You're 4 horses, the wagon, and the jockey, solo man or woman riding the horse behind you is a team. And they all start kind of staggered. Horses fire themselves around a barrel. If you knock over the barrel, time added. Yeah. And then they race around a track, and that stadium is electric. Like people are
it's so
screaming. Like if you're not loud, the horses run slow. Basically, is
Do you
what it
remember
is.
the bareback stuff
Yeah,
after the relays?
That's also crazy. The
So
chucks,
sick.
the road. If you can do the rodeo and the chucks in one day, it's a whole day thing.
Yeah.
But you will leave with your jaw on the floor. Like it is just
that's
an
pretty
incredible
crazy.
show that they put
Okay,
on.
I'm gonna have to schedule some time in.
And then walk
for
the midway
Stampede.
as well. You
Yeah.
gotta walk
Yeah.
the Stampede grounds.
Because
Because
we're gone for a portion
Most
of
of
that.
it.
Like the first
yeah,
week.
because we
Yeah.
play against Halifax.
on the
Yeah.
7th.
In a way, that might be a good thing because of how busy the city is, right?
Makes me sad for people who
Yeah,
aren't
for
from
people like
Calgary.
Yeah, they don't
Like
get to
I'm sad I
experience
can't.
it,
We
like-
can't bring the girls out and give
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
night out,
The
but-
Wild will have something
Yeah.
to do with
For sure.
with Stampede
Yeah.
for sure.
Gotta get us on a horse for the parade.
I would
Flames,
Love
Wranglers,
that.
Stamps. If you hear this, me and Dill want to get on a horse.
get us on a horse.
For the
Also,
parade.
Shania Twain, Stampede
Yeah.
Parade Marshal. Did I
Yeah.
hear that? Shania, just
We
get
love
us on
you,
a horse. We
Shania.
love you.
That's funny. And you both are huge Flames fans. You guys wanted to wear jerseys today,
Yes.
but you
Shoulda,
miscommunicated.
coulda, woulda.
Yes, I almost wore my Panthers jersey, honestly, though, which is
Go
basically
Cats.
like wearing a
Go
Flames
Cats.
jersey. Go
Yeah.
Flames, go Cats, go. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, this season I did go to a few Flames games, thanks to you, Gil, and they were great. What's so funny is Kadri played on Toronto
He did.
a long time ago. I have come to realize.
He's from
and
Toronto.
Well, I thought he was still on Toronto until I went to a
Oh.
Flames game, and I was like, oh, what's
No, he was in
doing here?
Colorado before he came to Calgary.
And that's how much of
Dill knows
hockey
all
I
the
don't
stats,
watch at
ladies
all.
and gents.
Yeah, but I am a
Height,
fan
weight,
of the
birthdays,
Flames,
all of
not
it.
necessarily hockey now. But awesome. Okay, well, time for some fun to wrap up the podcast. We're going to do some rapid fire. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'll start off with you, Stordy, and we can rip through the answers.
Stretch
Okay.
for this one.
Are you going to ask me the same questions?
I
or
am.
different questions?
You know what? I'm going to ask you the same ones. So,
Yeah, leave
yeah,
the
maybe
room.
you'd
Get
have
out
a
of
head
here.
start, eh? Okay, well, the first thing that comes to mind
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
is
Okay, I'm
what you're
gonna
going to
plug my ears.
answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question
Okay.
and then you a question, different questions.
Okay.
Deal.
Alrighty, so time for
What if-
some fun now. We're going to do some
I ask you a
rapid
question
fire. I'm going to ask you
Answer
some
it anyway.
questions and you've got to respond with what comes to mind first. Okay, I'll start off with you, Stordy. Pre-game ritual you can't skip.
Oh, that's a horrible question for me.
too.
I just like to be chill, have fun, singing, dancing in the locker room. That's about it.
Okay,
Not superstitious.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Yeah.
not superstitious at all. Okay, favorite teammate to fool around with.
G Stordy.
Oh my God. I knew it, and that's why I chose both of you together.
They're goofy.
Goofy Stords.
What's your go-to song before a match, Stordy?
Oh, I like Potion by Calvin Harris and someone else. I think it's just good. Feel vibes.
How
Yeah.
does it go? Sing it for me.
It's not really
Okay.
good lyrics. Yeah.
Don't sing it. Don't sing it. We're rated
I
G
haven't heard
here.
of the song either. What is your dream vacation destination?
Oh boy, I would love to go to I've never been to Europe, so
You haven't been to Europe.
I know, crazy.
Wow.
I've been to South America multiple times, Central
Nice.
America, but never Europe. So I would love to go to Greece, Spain, Portugal.
Love that.
I think Italy as well. Any of those four or all of those four.
Well, we have a long off season.
Yeah.
So you can make it to
We have a
all of them.
long off season.
Yeah,
How
because
long is it?
December and January is pretty much off
Oh,
season.
2 months. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're training during off season still, but
yeah.
a good
That's true.
opportunity.
Me and Jill could go wherever we want.
Yeah.
Sayonara.
Yeah.
Adios.
Please.
Off you go. One word to describe yourself on the pitch, Stordy.
Gritty.
I love that. It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Gritty
I couldn't
Grace.
agree more.
Yeah. Strong.
Gritty
gritty.
Grace. I like that.
No,
The
we
new
don't call me
nickname.
Grace, unfortunately.
It's against the rules.
True.
The commentators called me Sturdy Stordy the other day.
Sturdy Stordy.
That works too.
Okay.
Because I didn't fall over in a tackle.
Okay. And yourself as well. One word to describe you on the pitch.
Oh shoot. Strong.
Strong. Yeah, for sure. You're like Hulk. You're
Thank
super
you.
Literally.
tall, super strong.
Presence.
Yeah.
Presence.
Yeah, really good presence.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would
Appreciate
agree.
that.
When I see you lifting in the gym, I'm like, she's unreal.
Makes me feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
That's my goal every
Like
time.
my little chicken arms.
Just make you guys feel bad.
like 25s and you're out there
You're
ripping
going
like
a little flex.
70s.
Yeah. I always look at some of the weights at CSI and I'm like, who uses them? And then
Dill.
Dill. Jeez. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Dill and Stordy. This has been such an amazing conversation. Thanks for sharing your stories and your passion with us all. Before we close, do you have any last message or piece of advice for our young listeners?
Best advice, don't quit. Just go after what you want, whatever it is. If that's what you want, that's what your dreams are, go for it. And don't let people tell you can't do it until you make that decision for yourself.
And yourself, Stordy?
Kind of just piggybacking off of Dill, I think if you love something, do it. Who cares? Get the job done, work hard for it, and just make sure you're happy. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, doesn't matter what everyone else thinks.
Just two fantastic pieces of advice. Thanks for being on the show, and I can't wait to see us soar for the rest of the season.
Wow.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Fark.
Hey, loving what you're hearing? Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave a comment down below, and stay tuned for what's next. Welcome back to the Wild Journey. Our next guest is the visionary leader behind Calgary Wild FC, Deanna Zumwalt, Executive Chair of the Wild. Under Deanna's leadership, professional women's football has become a reality in Alberta. She also serves as the president and CEO of Coral Holdings Limited and is deeply committed to community impact, serving on the board of several meaningful organizations. I'm honored to have her here today to talk about the journey, the vision, and what inspired her to be a trailblazer. Welcome, Deanna. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Fark.
So according to Ernst & Young, 94% of women who hold C-suite executive level positions were former athletes. You are no exception to this. Can you walk me through your upbringing and your sport journey as a youngster that led you to being a successful business leader and also being behind building the Wild?
Yeah, sport factored massively in my background. Grew up in a family of 3 girls, and my dad was a major athlete, so sport was big for us. Every weekend, many nights, I was either playing ball or basketball or field hockey or golf or tennis, so it was huge. But for me, my sport was field hockey, and played field hockey in university. And sure, sport made me stronger in terms of teamwork, leadership, resilience. So it's really led to, I would say, my success as a business leader. So yeah, I think that stat from Ernst & Young, and there's many stats out there that are very similar, has a lot of credence. So for me, when the opportunity at this point in time in my life came to help launch Calgary's first professional women's sports team, I was all in, because I knew that by launching the team, we would inspire more girls to stay involved in sport. And we know that all young people, if they stay involved in sport, become amazing leaders. We just know that young girls drop out at twice the rate. They drop out far younger, and far fewer play sport. So if we can create role models for them, we know we're going to draw them into sport. And we're seeing that already. So yeah, it was really that journey of, I think, being an athlete myself, being a CEO, being a mother, watching my own daughters find their leadership voice through sport, that just, it was an absolute no-brainer for me to jump in and try and make this happen in Calgary.
That's incredible. And I had the pleasure of actually meeting your father during the first match, which was in Vancouver, the inaugural NSL match. And I have to say, he's still an avid sports fan today and supporting the Wild. And of course, you, who has pretty much built this at a time that maybe a lot of Albertans didn't really believe in the mission. What is it like to build a team from scratch in a league that doesn't exist? How hard is it to pitch to individuals in this city and province to believe in what your vision is?
Yeah, incredibly daunting. I mean, being totally honest, there were times you wanted to give up. You know, when we initially started pitching the idea, you know, professional women's sport, like people were like, oh, like, you mean like ladies league? And it's like, no, like professional women's sport. We still to this day have people show up at games and go, oh, you're for real pro. And it's like, yes, we are for real pro. And I think they're surprised and pleasantly surprised at the caliber of play, the product that's being produced. I know You mentioned my dad being at the first game. He's not a footballer or a soccer player, but loves sports. So he's sitting there analyzing things, and he hasn't missed a game on TV. He always is catching every game, giving me feedback on how he thinks the gals are playing. And he'll very much say, well, I don't really know, but I think this is the way it should be. And I don't think he ever thought in his lifetime that, he would see, young women playing professional sports. So it's huge. It's huge for a lot of people. It's huge for the young ladies playing. It's huge for the girls that dream of playing. It's, big for the parents of, daughters that dreamed of playing. But yeah, it was daunting at times to pitch it in the city. And there were times you wanted to give up. But being honest, like I knew in my heart, if we didn't lean in and make this happen now, that it'd be probably another 10 years before it happened.
Right.
I also knew that this league couldn't start without Calgary being involved. We had to be one of the first teams because I know in my heart that the city would embrace it, even though the city was initially kind of like, really? Professional women's soccer, not hockey. But they're really embracing the team now.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Calgary is a special place, but I've seen a big difference between the attitudes of the organizations prior to the NSL actually starting to post games, where everyone believes in it now and feels like they can add value as well, whether that's partnering, sponsoring, or just being a fan is quite impressive. For you personally, I know football plays a huge role in your family as well. Your daughter Fabi plays. She's a phenomenal footballer herself. Does this opportunity have a special place in your heart because of Fabi, or would you have jumped on the opportunity for any professional sport team in the city?
Yeah, it has a special place in my heart, certainly because of Fabi, but if it wasn't for Fabi, this probably wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have been involved. First and foremost, I was drawn into this as a soccer mom, and then secondarily as a CEO and a former athlete, right? So I wouldn't have even known or been exposed to the possibility of this happening or even know any of the people really in the community if it wasn't for Fabi and her passion for the game. And I think, being a former athlete, I knew the impact, but sometimes you see it more for somebody else than you see it for yourself. So I would say watching her, kind of like as a young Haitian Canadian, finding her leadership voice and her community through sport, I think I appreciated that more as a mother than I did as a player playing. Right. So yeah, I would venture to say that this wouldn't be here without Fabi being here and without Fabi being involved in sport and wanting to really make that difference. I probably would have just gone on my merry way doing my CEO thing and not thought, hey, this is my opportunity, now that I have a seat at the table to really lean in and kind of pull on the community and my connections to make this happen.
They do say never underestimate a soccer mom, and I think you're a testament to that, that's for sure. So a huge part of Calgary Wild FC's mission is connecting with the community, and you've built a role specific to that, a footballer and community ambassador that's able to impact both on and off the pitch. This is quite unique in the NSL. No other team has this role. Why was it important for you to implement this right from the first season? Well,
in all fairness, I would say we co-created it, so far as being far too humble. So I think, us getting connected, which has been amazing, really led to the creation of this combination of footballer and community ambassador. But I think it's hugely important. It's hugely important football for me in this city and in this country with so many new Canadians and so many young girls that don't have access to sport is like hyper important. Football can bring communities together. It can create access to sport. And so having a community ambassador that's reaching out into those communities and opening up opportunity for the young girls in our community, connecting them into communities, connecting them into the team, connecting them to role models was just so important because really, I think for us at the Wild, maybe distinct, and I do think distinct from the other teams, it's not just about sport, and it's not just about professional sport. Really, our purpose and our mission is beyond sport and goes beyond sport. It's about elevating a generation of female leaders on and off the pitch through sport. I always say 1% of those young ladies are going to go on to play pro soccer, but that other 99%, if we can draw them into sport, keep them involved in sport, they're going to go on to incredible things in community. So a community ambassador role, and the community is just so important to everything that we're doing.
Right. And we really pride ourselves on access and inclusivity and ensuring that our community is part of this vision and mission. And part of that is building a foundation as well, which again is quite unique for an NSL club to do simultaneously during the first season. What is the goal of the foundation, or what is the vision that you have 5 years, 10 years from now? And what opportunities do you see this can bring to underserved communities here at home?
Yeah, I mean, growing access to sport. I guess I tell this story. Far would have heard me tell this story. So Fabi is Haitian Canadian, and there aren't a lot of young Black girls like her playing sport at an elite level. I want that to change, because when I go and watch the boys, 65 to 70% of the young men look a lot like Fabi.
Right.
Less than 5% look like Fabi. And so for me, that is the result of, in our country and in North America, you've got to be able to pay in order to play. And so launching the foundation, creating the community ambassador role isn't super important to really making that go away. I mean, of course, if people have the ability to play, then they'll get access to sport, but we want, young girls that don't have the ability to play,
Right.
to pay to play as well, right?
Yeah.
So creating that foundation and making sure that it's not just those that have, the financial means to play, have access to sport. It's just, it's so important, because to assume that the best players or the best players out there are those that can afford to play the sport, we all know it's wrong.
Right. And representation is just so important. I know through my experience playing for the Wild, I have fans that always come up at the end when we're signing autographs. They're not even from Afghanistan, some of them, but from the Middle East and the region, just sharing how much it means to them, their mothers and fathers thanking me, because they didn't have role models to look up to growing up, and now their daughters do, and they can dream, believe, and achieve it by seeing what's around them. And now it's possible to do at home thanks to the incredible work you all are doing. And I can't thank you enough. I know you've been an incredible mentor to so many, but personally myself, from the time I came in, and even before I came into the city, I think your leadership speaks volumes. And I'm sure you've had leaders that have really guided you. What is a piece of advice that you were told by a mentor or a leader that's really stuck with you and has informed your leadership practice?
Probably one of the biggest pieces of advice, actually, and it's from a great leader, and also my father, who was a great leader. And it's actually is a plaque. If you were to walk into my office, you would see it. I won't get it bang on right, but it probably, I try to emulate it in everything I do. And really the quote is something to the effect that, they came to the edge and they, backed up because they were afraid, right? They came to the edge, they backed up, and then at the end, you give them a push and a shove and they fly, right?
Right.
And so for me, it's probably less now at this point in time in my life about what I do personally or what I achieve. It's what can you help others achieve? And so giving them that gentle nudge kind of off the cliff because you know that they're going to soar,
Right.
is really what it's about as a leader. So I love this journey with the Wild because there's so many incredible people that are capable of so much, but sometimes they can't see
Right.
it themselves. So sometimes you got to see it for them and just give them that gentle nudge and just be there to support them, right?
For sure. I mean, the Wild is a startup at the end of the day, and there is an
100%.
element of fear that may play into every staff member because this can go very well, but the NSL can also fold like other leagues have.
Yeah.
I don't think it will, just because of how strong the foundation has been and how invested this community and nation has been right from the beginning. But What are some things that you have learned throughout the process? Because I know you've led a lot of businesses and started a lot of incredible pursuits, but sport is very different in many ways, and this is very unique.
For sure.
What are some learnings throughout that process that you almost didn't even anticipate?
So I've never been involved I've been involved in business, but never sport. I've learned so much about sport that I never knew. But I would say the same thing applies to sport as business. Sometimes you just got to trust and put one foot in front of the other.
Right.
And I would say that in particular, if you've got a really strong sense of purpose, in a great space, which women's sport is. I mean, we see the stats out there. Women's sport is taking off, but it is daunting. A startup is daunting. To start up a league, to start up a business is incredibly daunting. But sometimes you just got to put one foot in front of another. Make sure your purpose is really crystal clear. Remind yourself of what that purpose is. Remind everybody else of what that purpose is. And it truly is amazing what you can accomplish. So yeah, I mean, going into sport business is not for the faint of heart, but it's also a ton of fun.
Right.
It's really rewarding to be involved in a business that just has such a clear purpose and means so much to so many people. I can honestly say I've never been involved in a business where when you go down to the pitch, at the end of the day, you see all these young people just wanting to get autographs from the players, and the players are happy and the fans are happy. I've never been involved in a business where there's so much joy.
Right.
And that joy is grounded in a really strong sense of purpose. That is a ton of fun, but there are days where it is daunting. But those days it's daunting, you just got to remember those moments.
Right, and this club is so purpose-driven. I think right from the staff, the executive leaders, to the players, we're here for a reason. We believe in it, and we're fully investing our time, energy to really make sure that this is a success right from the beginning. So thank you so much, Deanna, for sharing your insights and your passion with us today. It's amazing to hear everything that you continue to do. I think you're extremely humble. So there's a lot of pieces that you've missed out on, but I'm sure we'll come to realize and appreciate that as time passes. Before we go, I want to know, what has your favorite Wild memory been so far?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Probably my favorite Wild memory, and that ties to Fabi. And that was, and this will probably make me tear up a bit, but when we signed Sarita Thurton, and Fabi saw, and Far touched on this, when Fabi saw herself, that just brought so much joy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, in a good way. So tears in a good way. But I think I realized how important the purpose is, right? That for young women, yes, she's a young woman, but to see a young Black woman being signed in our city, playing soccer, meant I belong here. Right. And so I think earlier when you talked about, parents coming up that are from the middle, it matters, right? And so, yes, girls have followed sport for a long time and had male idols, but to have female idols now, it's huge.
Exactly. And what a player Sarita is, both on and off the pitch, an incredible footballer, but just this young lady that's so ambitious, wants to do her best, wants to grow, develop, and she gets to inspire all these young Black girls in the city. That's immeasurable, the value of that. And so I'm glad that you had that experience, and Fabi has someone to look forward and up to as well. And thanks for making this possible for us all. Thank you.
Thanks, Far.
Hey, it's Far here. Be sure to select the next episode and enjoy some more Wild content. See you soon.